Before I turn it over to Daviana and Micah, I just want to thank them for supporting Hawaii History Day for so many years now, and just impress how important oral histories are to our students, their projects, and how they have impacted them with deeper learning and the growth that has happened within the last 31 years of Hawaii History Day. So I want to thank them, and then I'm going to turn it over to Daviana, and they'll be presenting on Kahoʻolawe, Hawaiians versus U.S. Navy debating the future of island of Kahoʻolawe, and Con 78, a Constitution of Hawaii, weaving together support for the Hawaiian rights, amendments to the Hawaii State Constitution. Go ahead, Daviana, the floor is yours.
Okay, aloha kako. Thank you, Gary, for that passionate presentation, getting us all riled up every year. I am going to be talking about Kahoʻolawe and that theme of debate and diplomacy, and Mike is going to be talking about the Con. So I wanted to start with a little clip. It's from a longer documentary by Namakoka Aina, and it's called Kahoʻolawe Aloha Aina. But I wanted to show the first part because they brilliantly opened the video with the debate. What was the debate going on about Kahoʻolawe? So I just want to give you the setting, for what is being shown. The first landing on Kahoʻolawe was in January 4, 1976, and it was part of a larger effort to get attention nationally from the US Congress, particularly to the plight of Native Hawaiians, to support a bill that this organization, Aboriginal Lands of Hawaiian Ancestry, or ALOHA, had introduced to Congress for Congress to provide reparations to Native Hawaiians for the role that the U.S. played in the overthrow of the Hawaiian monarchy, and the fact that the President Cleveland's own report said it was an undeclared act of war that was illegal, and so building upon the eventually the bill that they introduced resulted in an apology by 1993, but at this time there was no attention being paid to this bill, and so the first landing on Kahoʻolawe was to draw national attention to that. But then Kahoʻolawe itself became a focus for a movement of Aloha Aina and to stop the bombing of the island and begin to heal it. And on October 22, 1990, so it's just been 31 years, the bombing stopped. And but a commission was set up. The Kahoʻolawe Island Conveyance Commission was set up to hold hearings and conduct studies and come back to Congress in 2 years, so from 1990 to 1992, come back to Congress and make a recommendation as to what should be the future of the island. Should the island continue to be used for military purposes, or should the island be returned to the people of Hawaii for cultural practices? And so what I have in this clip is from hearings that were conducted, and the Kahoʻolawe Island Conveyance Commission went to every island, and they conducted hearings on every island, and you have this big debate between the military and Hawaii's people about the future of the island. And these hearings were all recorded. I thought they were at, I thought we had given them to Ulu'ulu, but maybe not. I do have them, and I'm not sure where they might be available on the internet. But Koa Luke Mahalo, who's with Ulu'ulu, has posted where the where the Protect Labi Ohana collection is at. And if we don't have the hearings, I'm going to look for them, make sure they could be available there. So you can get a feeling for, again, the back and forth, the debate over the future of the island. And this is, again, the period from October 22, 1990 until September 30th, 1992 is when these hearings were taking place, although the hearings were pretty much all conducted in 1991, the first year. So Devin, can you please play that for us?
Kahoʻolawe's importance to the military lies in the fact that it is one of the few areas in the world that allows the practice of combined arms operations involving ships, aircraft, and ground troops, training exactly as they would in an actual combat environment.
For once in America's life, America can give back to the Hawaiian people what is rightfully theirs.
There is simply no substitute for live firing to develop the coordination and teamwork skills necessary to deliver accurate naval gunfire support.
Well, there's no substitute for Hawaiian land. We only have the Hawaiian Islands.
The world continues to be a dangerous place. Freedom is challenged regularly. Our nation must be prepared.
What is national defense? National defense is nothing if it doesn't come from the heart of the people. George Helms said that.
The tiny island of Kahoʻolawe in the Hawaiian chain has been at the center of a debate of global importance, whether the United States military or the people of Hawaii should control these 45 square miles of land.
One sees it on the end of a gun sight, and the other sees it as the Aina, a place where life might again flourish.
How did this island come to be an issue of such concern?
We feel strongly that the island needs to come back home, totally. We want our Aina back.
The story of Kahoʻolawe begins with the people who have made it their home.
Mahalo. Yeah, so I just wanted to make the teachers aware and the students who will be doing their research that there is this archive of these hearings, for example, that show this tension between the Navy wanting to continue practicing on the island and then people on every island coming forward to testify about the importance about returning the island and having it be a place for our cultural practices to be exercised. And so now I wanted to share my screen again. Yeah, so I wanted to talk about how the commission then negotiated and this whole thing about the diplomacy side of the issue that's being researched. And so this is from a slideshow that I put together looking at different stages in the development of the Kahoʻolawe movement. But so I'm saying that the abuses stopped in October 22, 1990. And then you have a period of negotiation and healing. And what the Kahoʻolawe Island Conveyance Commission did was to, after they conducted all of the hearings and reports, and I can also show you on the Kahoʻolawe Island Reserve Commission site, the 21 reports that they did on the island. But Auntie Frenchie DeSoto, who was on the commission, had a vision and a kind of a calling that the way to convince Congress and Hawaii's people and all the different layers of government that had to make a decision about the future of the island was to bring all the primary decision makers to the island and to have a ceremony of healing together. And so in August 1992, and now the report is supposed to be submitted in September 30th, 1992, there's a healing ceremony that's conducted here on Kahoʻolawe at Abba. And this is what we call a mua ha'i kupuna, a monument to all of the kupuna who gave their lives and, who gave their lives for the island. And so we started building this mua in May, and it was already by August. At the same time, we had some iwi kupuna that were coming back from Bishop Museum, and we buried them in this corner to return them back to Kahoʻolawe, but also to help consecrate this as a process and a way of healing as well. Then we had, so each of these stones, on each of these stones, we invited the key decision makers. So we had Senator Inouye, he's the chairman now of the Senate Military Appropriations Committee. We had representing Senator Daniel Akaka, his son Danny Jr. We had Neil Abercrombie, who was a congressman at the time. Someone who was representing Patsy Mink was there too. And then we had Governor Waihee and his son, John IV, who was, I think at the time also on the Office of Hawaiian Affairs. We had Uncle Ku'ulukukui, Tommy Ku'ulukukui, who was the chairperson of the Office of Hawaiian Affairs. And then we had, Senator Malama Solomon came too. We had kupuna from every island, representing all the different ohana on every island that supported the return of Kahoʻolawe. And then we had representatives of the Protect Lawe Ohana, Uncle Leslie Kuloloia, and Emmett Aluli, who's actually here with me. And the ceremony was overseen by Parley Kanakaʻole of the Edith Kanakaʻole Foundation. And he is since passed, but he conducted the ceremony, and it was a ceremony of Abba, and it was mixed here. And we had this part here is where we make offerings. The offerings to our kupuna was koa from the coral from the ocean, or vai and water. And so there was the Abba was served here, and as each person was given their cup of Abba, their apu of Abba, they had to make an oath that in drinking the Abba, they were making an oath that they would do everything in their power to return the island to the people of Hawaii and to heal the island. And so we had, this was a commitment ceremony of healing between all the people who on one side had helped perpetuate the military use. Certainly Senator Inouye had been part of the Military Appropriations Committee that allowed the military use of the island, but then he was now part of that same committee that in 1990 passed the law saying that none of the money being appropriated for the military that year could be used, and over the next 2 years, none of that appropriated budget could be used for military exercises or military training with live fire exercises on the island. And so now he is making a commitment, he and the governor, every Abercrombie, they're all making commitments to do all that they can to heal the island. And this was really the primary move, I would say, the diplomatic move, very, very Hawaiian way, or we say the konane move, to get that commitment to stop the bombing and to have the island returned to the people of Hawaii. And so eventually the report submitted by the Kahoʻolawe Island Conveyance Commission was that the island was a national treasure, a national cultural treasure that should be protected and should be established as a cultural trust for Indigenous Native Hawaiians. And there was, after that report went through in 1994, it was accepted. There was $400 million appropriated for the cleanup. There was again negotiations, which are on the documents as a result of that, is on the Kahoʻolawe Island Conveyance Commission, Reserve Commission site, which I'll post in the chat later. And on May 7th, 1994, so from 92 when they made the report to 94, the state and the Navy then entered into a period of negotiation, again, more diplomatic work, to negotiate the return of the island. And one thing that was insisted upon by Frenchie de Soto and then Governor Waihee and accepted by Senator Inouye was that the island should be returned and then the cleanup should happen. We should not do the cleanup and then have the island returned, because we knew that in every other place where military training exercises had occurred, they never returned the land. They do a cleanup and then they say, we are unable to do a complete cleanup. We cannot do 100% cleanup. It's still dangerous and it gives us exposure to profound liability. And so we're not going to return the land to you. And so we knew we would never get the island back if we waited for the cleanup to happen. And so that was an important position to take. And on May 7th, 1994, this was then one of the deputy secretaries of defense, and John Waihee, the governor at the time, the admiral at the time, the Singpac fleet, and then Noah Emmett Aluli physician on Molokai, who represented the Protect Kahoʻolawe Ohana, and was also at the time the chair of the Kahoʻolawe Island Conveyance Commission. And then we had this big celebration at Palauea. This is the program. We started with 100 sounds of the conch shell, 50 beats of the ceremonial drum, and then offerings again being made to Kanaloa, and of course speeches. These were the different kinds of ho'okupu offerings that were made. So again, involving deep Hawaiian ceremony and to kind of complete this diplomatic move. And in the legislation that Governor Waihee had introduced for the return of the island to be received by the state of Hawaii, importantly, it provides for the future transfer of the island to the sovereign Hawaiian governing entity. And the language is that the state is holding the island in trust for eventual transfer to the sovereign Hawaiian entity when it is reestablished and recognized by the state of Hawaii and the federal government. And just some pictures of the cleanup that went on from 1994 to 2004. But there's still about 23% of the islands that's not been cleared. Only 9% in the green areas have been cleared to a depth of 4 feet. These other areas have only been surface cleared. So that's the end of my presentation, and I will turn it over to Micah for the content, and I will post the other Kahoʻolawe Island Reserve Commission site that has the sources that you can use. Aloha, or aloha aina.